that whole thing disappears. So now you've got fewer subscribers on your email list, but they're all opening your emails. If you have an education business, then your email list, whether you realize it or not, is probably your single biggest asset for communication and for sales. But a lot of people do a really poor job of managing their email list. And I think that happens a lot because they treat email as a bit of an afterthought. This is particularly common among YouTubers who kind of get used to YouTube being their main thing, and they optimize they spend their time thinking about how to do YouTube properly. And then email is a bit of an afterthought. Maybe you kind of send an email for each video, or send a weekly newsletter or something like that. But there are, when you start to build out your business into more automated ways, where you have automated funnels and promotions and things like that, then it becomes really important to know how to manage your list from a point of view of sort of segmenting it, who gets broadcasts, who gets automated sequences and things like that. So I'm going to walk you through from a kind of very high level how we manage our email list at Story Learning, which is my main business, just so you can get an idea of how we approach it. All right, so here's kind of what it looks like on a really simple level. And this over here is my website. And so generally, whether people are finding it through Google search or coming from YouTube or from social media or whatever, the website is the place where most people will opt in to the email list for whatever it is that we're offering. Now, once people opt in, then they get an automated sequence. This is an automated email sequence, an automated funnel, if you like. So Story Learning is a language business, so we will send them emails about the language that they've told us that they're learning. I'll get to that segmentation in a bit. But there's an automated sequence, and for us it lasts about, it's kind of changing all the time, but I think it's probably about 30 days. And that's 30 days of email. This is your typical funnel, right? This is what most people would describe as a funnel. So you're going through an email sequence. There are different emails, mix of kind of entertainment, information, sales, different offers, sending people videos. Everything that we want to achieve in the first 30 days of having a new email subscriber is done in that sequence. And the reason it's 30 days as opposed to being any longer or shorter is any shorter, and I mean it could be shorter, but then there's a lot of things that I want, positioning things that I want to fit in. I want to, when someone finds me and enters my world, there are certain things that I want them to know about. I want them to know about the courses we have. I want them to know about my books, which I don't think I've got a copy. I usually have a book lying on my desk here. I don't have one today. I want them to know about media appearances. I want to give certain bits of advice about language learning, which are key, central to our story learning method. And so 30 days is kind of the time period where I feel like I've built out enough email communication, like really good quality emails, which that people can really understand what I'm all about, and then anything more than that would be, you start to get diminishing returns. So after that, then people go into the general mailing list, and in the mailing list, this is no longer an automated sequence. What would happen here is they get a few different things. They get a weekly newsletter. So this would be typically on a Thursday. I send out an email saying, hey, check out this new video. Here's something cool I did this week. Here are some new books we've got coming out, whatever that may be. They get a weekly newsletter. They get any other kind of broadcast email. So that could just be, I don't know, hey, I'm in New York tomorrow. Do you come to a meetup or whatever? And they'll also get promotions. And those promos can be, generally monthly, mid-month promos, whatever it may be, challenges that we're launching. And what's important here is that all of this stuff here, the weekly newsletter, the broadcast emails, the promotions, none of this stuff goes to people who are in this 30-day automated sequence. And the way that we do that technically is that we give people, and this may not be the best way of doing this, but it's kind of worked for us for years, is that we give people what's called a tag. I think that's how you, is that where you put, no, that's not how you do a tag, is it? You put it over here. Is that a tag? I don't know. But we call this tag internally, we call it an NRFB tag, which stands for not ready for broadcast. So anyone that comes into this automated sequence here will get given this tag. not ready for broadcast. And that means that it will be excluded from any of these things. So if we send out our Thursday newsletter every week, it will exclude people who are not ready for broadcast. So all these people get given this tag. And then when they reach the end of this sequence, that tag gets removed. Okay, so they join, they get given this not ready for broadcast tag. When they reach the end of the 30 days, then that tag gets removed, and then as soon as that gets removed, that means they will now receive anything else that we send back here. Because the way that we, when we're queuing up these emails to be sent, these broadcast emails to be sent, we'll use a rule which is exclude not ready for broadcast. Like that, right? So that's the sending rule. Any email we send to the main list will be excluding not ready for broadcast, which means these guys then won't get that. Now, over time, what happens with your email list is that it grows. Hopefully, if you're doing a good job, if you keep sending people there. And so your email list will, typically it starts off, so the path that everyone goes through, it starts off very small and then kind of goes like that over time. There's a number of subscribers. Yeah, so at the beginning you have no subscribers and then eventually you have a whole load. And this generally represents, it picks up this curve with the growth of your business. Now, what happens is that over time, people will stop reading your emails. They'll stop opening them, they'll stop clicking them, and this leads to a lot of people who are basically, they're on your list, and you're probably paying for them because most email services charge for the number of people subscribed. So you're paying for them, but they're not opening your emails. And so what happens is let's say this is your entire audience, and then you've got kind of chunk of people who open every email. These are your super fans. And then you've got the people who are sort of, may open it, maybe not. From time to time, they like to dip in and out to your email. And then you've got this group of people here. Let's do a little dotting pattern. And these people stop opening your emails. And that means that over time, there are more and more people who are like this and will stop opening your email. Now, you may not think that's a problem, but A, you're paying for these people, but B, it harms what's called your deliverability. So Gmail, whatever the other ones are, they have ways of knowing how many people are opening your emails, and that affects your sender reputation. Long story short, the more people you have not opening your emails, the more your emails are likely to end up in the spam folder, because the different email companies will look at your emails. Okay, not many people are opening them, and the more that happens, the more likely that all of your emails end up in spam, and that's a big problem because then nobody gets the emails you send. So what we need to do is we need to do what's cleaning the list. And cleaning your list is something you've got to do regularly. There are most companies now, most email service providers have a way to do this automatically. But essentially, what you're doing when you clean your list is you're filtering. And what we do specifically, we have a specific way of doing this, which is when we clean the list, we say everyone who hasn't opened an email in 3 months. So no opens within the last 3 months. That's quite aggressive, actually. You're going to end up cutting a lot of people, but if someone's not opened an email in 3 months, are they really going to keep coming back? And you've got to set it somewhere. So we say no opens within 3 months, and then we run this thing itself, this process itself, every 3 months, or at least we plan to. We don't always do it, but so every 3 months you're cutting out of your email list everyone who hasn't opened an email from you within 3 months. Now, this can hurt your ego, right? Because you can be used to say, let's say you've got 100,000 people on your email list, technically, right? Except a whole bunch of people don't open them. So you clean your list based on this criteria, and then once you've cut out these people, you might end up then with only 70,000 people, which means you've deleted 30,000 people, and this can really hurt. It can really bruise your ego the first few times you do it. But the thing to remember is what you're gaining from this is, for a start, a cheaper email bill, but secondly, you get much better deliverability, because now you don't have this whole tranche of people who aren't opening your emails that whole thing disappears. So now you've got fewer subscribers on your email list, but they're all opening your emails, right? And that just makes for better energetics in the business overall, because everyone's opening your emails, everyone's responding, everyone's doing what you want them to do, and it creates for a kind of a nimble, lively, energetic business, which is really cool. So every 3 months we cut people out who aren't open, and they can always subscribe again later if they want, right? And that is how we manage our email list. Now the only other thing to say is, here I've given a very simple example of website onto one email sequence. In our business, in story learning, in fact, it's actually, when you get into it, it's a lot more complicated than that, because we teach like over 10 languages. So what we actually have, the way it actually works, just for those of you who are curious, is, so this is the website, and then we actually have, I think it's 10 or so email sequences which represent 10 languages, and each one of those has a beginner, intermediate, and advanced sequence. Right. So actually it looks like, so this might be Spanish here, beginner, intermediate, advanced. This might be French here, beginner, intermediate, advanced, and so on and so forth. And there's like 10 of us. So we actually have 30 email sequences in total that people go on to. But regardless of that, they all get this tag, this not ready for broadcast tag, which means that we're able to exclude them from these weekly newsletters and broadcasts. And in case you're wondering, the reason it's important to do that is because if you imagine that someone just signs up to your website and you are sending them this sequence, this sequence that you've kind of lovingly crafted and built over how long. Let's imagine they're on day one, they've only just joined your email list, and then that same day they start receiving a promotion for something you're selling. That's not what you want. You don't want people to encounter that when they first join you. You want them to go through the sequence that you have crafted, and then after that, then if they haven't purchased whatever it is that you want them to sign up for, then you can say, okay, well, it's obviously not right for them now, so let's just send them the stuff we have going on every week, and that's a better experience for them. So that is how, at Story Learning, we manage our email list.